So I'm in India, and this is my first video in India, and what I want to do is lay out the plan, lay out how I'm going to travel around India. And the reason is because as I was planning this trip, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and most of those videos were for the same small set of places. So Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, Jaisalama, a little bit in Varanasi, but really didn't expand too much. Oh, and Kerala and Goa as well. So those two, is a fair number of videos about those two places. And there's a few scattered around for the other places. But it seemed to me that nobody was going around all of India. Nobody was trying to take on the task of showing the whole country. So I have 64 days. I want to try to do that. I want to try to get around India in much the same way you would think about going around Europe. Using trains a lot, hopping from city to city, having fairly short stays, changing your mind sometimes, you know, going different places where you didn't really expect to, or canceling a stop because you heard it wasn't so good, those sorts of things. And I don't know if it's possible to do that, but I think it might be. I think with technology the way it is now, that it is possible to hop around India and have a fairly good experience as you go. And yeah, I recognize that there's going to be some challenges. I recognize I'm going to have to change my plan, maybe a lot. Or I could just be completely wrong. I could be wrong. Quite often you see people talking about India and saying you can't plan anything. And you can't predetermine where you're going to go or when you're going to go. That booking trains is very difficult, and you know, a number of barriers that make it much more difficult, let's say, to travel around India than it is to travel around Europe. So I assume it's probably more difficult. Okay, in fact, it's a pretty safe bet, right? That it's going to be more difficult, but that is doable. And then also, in these videos, you do not see what I would consider some of the best places to see in India, and that they usually feature the most famous ones, okay, which in my view, maybe fair enough, maybe they are the best ones, maybe they're the top, I don't know, but maybe there's other places too that are almost as good. So that's it. So what I'm doing is I've got 28, 29, 30 stops planned. And I hope to get some feedback too on the places that I've chosen. I can certainly change some of the stops and also delete some if I learn that they are not the best ones to go to. But I want to see India as much as I can. And of course, 64 days, there's no way you can see India. I'll have to leave a lot off the table. For example, I've decided not to go to either Kerala or Goa, even though they are very popular. And the reason why is with Goa, it's mostly beaches, and I just think you can get beaches, better beaches in other places of the world. And then with Kerala I'm kind of interested in. I might actually change my mind and go there. But it also looks like you're going up a river, and of course. But I want to see different types of things, the best of the different types of things. So for example, modern city. I figure it's probably Bangalore, but maybe not. It might be somewhere else. Okay, and then also the best temples of each part of the Indian history. So Hampi, for example, the Chola temples in the south. So I want to see them. I want to see the best Maharaja places. I want to see some of the desert.
I want to see some of the Sikh side of India. So I want to try to see as much of it as I can, even though I recognize I can only see a certain portion of each element. The countryside as well. From what I understand, there's some very beautiful countryside in some of the hill stations, so I definitely want to get a feel for that. But I welcome any input that you can give me. And of course, I'll be learning a lot as I go.